Good evening. It is Monday, March 23rd, and this is a meeting of the Southborough Planning Board. The Planning Board is now in session. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing, ADU bylaw update, proposed zoning amendment. I don't know if we have anyone from CBA here.
So. I
don't
spoke
see
with
anyone.
Lara this morning and she indicated that Doris might be today, but they didn't post a meeting for tonight. They said that she indicated that that they had no additional changes to the current warrant article as it was printed. Nothing anticipated at this point.
Okay. So this is just updating our ADU accessory dwelling unit bylaw to allow ADUs by right up to 1,200 square feet, not to exceed the gross floor area of the principal dwelling, and must be the only accessory dwelling unit on the lot. And
Can
I
I
don't,
also make a statement? on
Sure.
that? And I also want to point out that Marnie Houlihan provided a Mullins form for missing the March 9th, 2026 public hearing for the ADU bylaw update, proposed zoning amendment, indicating that she reviewed all the information so that she can continue to participate. Should I do them all right now so we don't have to forget, or do them at each public hearing? We'll do it at each one, so it's in the record.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any questions or comments, Ms. Houlihan?
No comments.
Ms. DeMaria?
No comments, thank you.
Ms. Braccio?
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Belniak?
No comments, thank you.
Any questions or comments from the vast public here in the hall? Anybody online have a question or comment?
3 attendees, no hands raised.
Great. I make a motion to continue the public hearing for the ADU bylaw update, ZBA proposed zoning amendment to April 11th, pre-ATM.
I second.
And what time is that, Karina?
Oh, sorry.
We can do them all at 9 o'clock.
9
9
o'clock.
AM, 9 AM. Because the 8 PM is at 10 AM, so we'll have it at 9.
Second as amended.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes?
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Russia, yes.
Belniak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, Tricentennial Committee sign proposed zoning amendment. Anything on that, Karina?
Yes, just want to indicate that we also have a Mullins form for Marnie Houlihan for the Tricentennial Committee signs proposed zoning amendment for missing the meeting on March 9th, 2026, indicating that Marnie has reviewed all the information so she can continue to participate.
Okay, and the reason for this zoning amendment, it's a temporary zoning amendment to allow the Tricentennial Committee to put up banners to advertise the Tricentennial, which is coming up in 2027. And our bylaw does not allow banners, so this would just allow them for the Tricentennial Committee to be approved by the Select Board, and all permission granted expires on January 31st, 2028. Any questions or comments? Ms. Houlihan?
No questions, no comments.
Ms. DeMaria?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Ms. Braccio?
Nothing for me either, thank you.
And Mr. Belniak?
Nothing for me also.
The vast audience? Any questions or comments? Anybody online on the Tricentennial Committee sign bylaw amendment?
6 attendees,
I do not see any.
5 none. You're all set?
I make a motion to continue the public hearing for the Tricentennial Committee signs proposed zoning amendment for 9 AM on 4/11/2026.
Is there a time?
9 a.m. I
Oh, you
said.
said 9 a.m. Oh, second. Thanks.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes?
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Elniak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, Industrial Park District expanded uses. Anything on this, Karina?
And then for this one, we have also Marnie Houlihan provided Mullins form for the March 9th, 2026 session that was missed, indicating that she reviewed all the information in order to continue to participate. And we don't have any additional questions from since the last meeting.
Ms. Houlihan.
Excellent, thank you, Ms. Luttrell. I've pulled together a presentation for town meeting, so I'd appreciate your feedback on it. And our vast attendees in the room, feedback is always welcome. So while the slide deck says it's 28 slides, I have provided real detailed compare and contrast. I think in addition to this presentation, I've recorded 3 videos that are available with the compare contrast document and the full zoning article available on the Town of Southborough Planning Board Department. On the left-hand corner, you will see ATM articles for April 11th. In that link, you will find for Article 17, which is the one we'll be going through, the zoning bylaw. There are 3 recorded videos. One is just an overview that provides just a basic education and awareness to the general public. And there are 2 subsequent videos, one that's specifically on the small clean energy infrastructure segment of this bylaw, and another video is on the data centers. So I would encourage the public to click through and find those videos and read the compare and contrast, because I think it's helpful to get a sense before walking into the meeting. So tonight, if the planning board's okay, I'll go through the very quick update. So Article 17 is what the amendment is to amend the 174-8.6, the industrial park. I'll keep calling it IP as the acronym, and the zoning, as well as 174-9, which is special permit, which will be K data centers, and we'll talk about those. So first of all, what are the IP zones in Southborough? So in our map of Southborough available online, the purple, I'm going to call it Easter egg purple, is highlighted here, and those indicate the industrial park sections of our town. So we have 3 areas, and all highlighted here with those corresponding addresses. So when we're talking about the IP district, that's what we're talking about. I think it is important to note that in the areas, particularly on the west side of town, they do abut residential and conservation. And so we have taken special consideration for that in our setbacks and front, rear, and side setbacks. So why are we amending its IP bylaw? So there's really kind of 5 reasons. The first is we're modernizing a 40-year-old industrial bylaw. So we're trying to bring the industrial park district up to a contemporary standard from a regulatory, environmental, and economic point. So it's really modernizing language. The second is to protect residents and neighborhoods. So we've included a general section, which is a I can't even remember what it's called. This is what happens when you're tired. Performance standards. Thank you. These are called performance standards. And what we've tried to do is really protect for noise, odor, vibration, and emissions, and some flashing light controls. And so these are new only for the industrial park district, but it provides a protection for anything that the planning or zoning board might be considering to by proponents to build. Third, it strengthens our environmental and public safety oversight. So there's clear Massachusetts DEP aligned performance standards. We've really incorporated fire, life safety, and emergency planning requirements into things like the data centers and the clean energy infrastructure. And we've asked for annual updates for hazardous or high energy facilities. So to make sure that should this bylaw pass, that we have protections in place. The fourth reason is to support reasonable and responsible economic growth. And so the first part is we've ensured that we comply with MGL Mass General Law, Chapter 164(1), which is a small clean energy infrastructure by right law that the state has enacted, and we are encouraged to, not encouraged, we're mandated to comply by October 1st. So we are incorporating that into this bylaw. We're really encouraging diverse, modern, and clean industries and creating some predictability for our town and businesses. And finally, it's providing transparency and community protections. So what is changing in the industrial park bylaw? We talked about the general performance standards. Whoops, sorry. We've modernized use permitted by right. So anything equal to or less than 50,000 square feet. So we've expanded and clarified allowed uses to reflect the economy and again, what we expect to see. So it includes offices, creative workspaces, digital services, publishing, recreation, arts, cultural and fitness facilities, breweries, distilleries, wineries, small clean energy infrastructure, medical clinics, outpatient centers, retail, banks, and consumer services that don't have manufacturing, and then light manufacturing with some tight environmental controls put in place. What's changing for clear special permit uses, anything that's allowed by right, but's greater than 50,000 square feet would require a special permit through the Zoning Board of Appeals. And then any on-site manufacturing with retail, utilities or hospitals, labs, life sciences companies, hazardous waste facilities, adult use heliports, and marijuana centers kind of all stay in the same with special permit. And then data centers would be incorporated into special permits, but that special permit would be by planning board, not by the zoning board. And then we've updated our development standards. So we've updated the setbacks for sites near residential and conservation districts to increase to 100 feet from what was there prior as 50 feet. And for clean energy infrastructure and data centers, we require 1,000-foot setbacks. So we've made no changes to height, frontage, lot size, or the FAR. So how large is 50,000 square feet? And these are just kind of visuals for people to understand what it could be and put it into perspective. It could be an elementary school size, a large supermarket, an indoor sports center. Think about it as just slightly smaller than one football field or about 1.15 acres, 9 NBA courts, 14 tennis courts, or about 7 2,500 suburban homes put together. The last one was 87 two-car garages. I think that's a little hard to visualize, but it gives you an idea of what we're talking for size. And I think it just helps the audience to understand what we're talking about.
That's a great slide. by the way. Very
much so.
Thank you. So what is small clean energy infrastructure and why now? And I mentioned earlier, Mass General Law is requiring it. So we are mandated to incorporate this into our bylaw by October 1st. And so we wanted to put it in with protections. We've leveraged the draft guidance by the state. And so we've incorporated that. So it will be in compliance with what the state is putting forward. So what they are meant to be are clean, meaning they reduce emissions and they help lower energy costs over time. They're low impact, so they're anticipated to have minimal noise, size, or visual changes. They're not anything that would resemble a large power plant or large scale facility that you might have remembered kind of growing up or driving by old mill towns. Examples that you might see near your home, school, or small business. Solar panels are small clean energy, ground mounted solar arrays, home battery storage systems, heat pumps, small wind turbines. So here we've increased the front, side, and rear buffers from 50 feet to 1,000 feet for the small clean energy infrastructure. And the state has written this by right code that it must be adopted by October 1st. So if this goes through by April 11th, we'll well be in compliance. Next thing I want to talk about is why are we talking about data centers? And I wanted to just talk about data centers. Our large facilities, ours would be limited to 50,000 square feet. But they store and process digital information. They're in the news. They're increasing use of AI, and AI is driving developers to build these large facilities to house this intense digital processing and storage facilities. They usually contain rows of high-density computers, cooling systems, backup generators, and specialized electrical equipment. And there are articles all over. I encourage you to do some diligence and read about data centers. Some are positive that they help encourage economic benefits. Some are not as positive, and they report concerns about noise, energy use, water consumption, and neighborhood impact. And so we've tried to think about all of those while we've written this proactive bylaw into this. So why this matters is we want to be proactive. We don't want to be reactive. We do not want proponents coming in with what we've seen happen in Pennsylvania, in Arizona, in Virginia, where proponents come in and there's no bylaws on the books, and towns are kind of forced to comply and take these on. And so we wanted to have a proactive not be reactive. It gives us, the town, the tools and protections before an applicant comes into town. And it ensures we have clear standards instead of trying to learn and respond under pressure. So what protections did this bylaw create? Strong siting protections. So I mentioned the data centers, like the small clean energy infrastructure, will have setbacks of 1,000 feet away from homes and conservation land. Any outdoor equipment must be visually screened and enclosed when possible. Noise controls must stay at or below current baseline levels, ambient noise. There will be strict limits on generator testing, and notice must go out when that happens. And pre and post construction noise studies are required. Public engagement requirements are also included in this bylaw, where all residents within a half mile must be notified. Applicants must hold 2 neighborhood meetings to make sure people voice their concerns and optimism about data centers, and that clear signage be posted ahead of those meetings. So the data center oversight, safety, and town authority, the town oversight would be through that special permit through the planning board. And where we have provided some additional assurances cover impact on water, sewer, stormwater, and electrical systems beyond typical site control, expected energy use and emissions, cooling methods and water consumption, noise, vibration, and air quality, the public safety, fire protection, emergency plans, and making sure it's consistent with town climate and master plans. And if impacts cannot be fully addressed, the planning board may deny the permit. And again, just to point out, the maximum building size could be no larger than 50,000 square feet. And the applicant must maintain public notification for its generator use if it does use one. And all operations must meet town development and environmental standards. So those are kind of the overview of the bylaw. I encourage everyone to read the compare and contrast. The remaining slides that I have are truly just a compare and contrast. I'll click through this quickly. And then I don't know from a feedback if people think it would be helpful to post this presentation on the website as well. I can certainly do that, but it will be the same presentation, so I'm probably not going to change it up much. Except for feedback, if people have feedback before the meeting. And so you can kind of click through this entire thing and see what was new. Where we've eliminated things, you'll see I've stricken the language and then kept what's in the current. So it really is a side-by-side comparison for people. And the last is just that we need a 2/3 majority on this. And I've broken up the request into kind of the 3 points. The first is that we're replacing the current IP with this bylaw. The second is that we're adding a new section K, data centers, into special permit. And finally, we're replacing this last one, which is, I'm going to highlight it right here. It's literally just a reference to the marijuana bylaw that's in another part of the town code that we need to just amend the lettering to make sure that it's in alignment. And that's it.
Great job, Marnie.
I want to clap.
Yes.
No needed. Yeah, we don't clap until it gets
Very good.
approved.
That was very clear.
Yes, very, very good, very helpful. I just want to mention that next week on the 30th, we're opening a public hearing just on 174-9K, the special permit, because although we've been talking about it forever, and initially it was all part of the the performance, the district standards. And we thought it would be best in fitting with the rest of the code to go under a separate section under special permit, and town council advised that we should just notice that we are having a hearing on that, because we didn't specifically say the hearing was on 174-9K. So just a Zoom only meeting, opening that on next Monday at 6:30. And that was very good, Marnie. Thank
Can I
you.
just pause for a second? Is there a way that we can switch screens? I'm not sure why it shows versus the planning board being shown. Yeah, I think for people watching, I think they'd rather see that than a blank screen. If that's,
So I think they see us. Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry for the.
Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Marnie. That's terrific. I think you, hit it all, to be honest. I can't think of anything, more that you haven't provided. We did have a couple members of the select board here last time, and they asked specifically for that side-by-side comparison. So I think that really, it should answer their questions. And they do want people to read it so that there's not confusion in the room. So you did a really great job.
Thanks.
Ms. Braccio.
Thank you. Marnie, great job. Excuse me. The videos were great too. I did watch them. So I think those are going to be really helpful. I do think putting it on the website is the way to go. So it gives the public the opportunity to kind of educate themselves in advance. So amazing job though. I mean, once again, you just rise as a rock star. So thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Mr. Belknap.
Thank you. Yes, excellent job taking a lot of information and distilling it. I have a couple questions just so I'm clear, and a suggestion or two. Could you put up number 2 again?
Yep.
Please.
Slide number 2.
I think it was point number 2. So yeah, keep going. When you start enumerating the pieces of the,
Oh, the actual bylaw.
yeah, just forget what slide number it is. No, it's when all the big text is on the screen, and we talk about the uses.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, next, previous one, I should say. Yep, awesome. My only thought here would be to reorder the ones in number 2, to lead with the strongest ones first and the most boring ones last. If we're gonna capture people's attention, we might want to lead with retail, breweries and distilleries, and end with office.
Always start with breweries.
Or recreation, but yeah, end with like the things that, so that was just a thought.
Yep.
Not required. I have a question on number 3. So under the 4th bullet, hazardous waste facilities, adult heliports, and medical marijuana, all maintained from the original bylaw. What we're talking here is what's changing in the IP bylaw.
Oh, right.
So should we strike that so
eliminate
it's not
that.
confusing?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. On the data centers, I thought that was really well put. When I was listening to you talk and taking notes, I think we should absolutely lead with that we're being proactive versus reactive. To me,
Yeah.
that's like the strongest item out of all that, because we don't have anything and we could get stuck. And I think oftentimes we're not viewed as being proactive, and this is an opportunity to be viewed as proactive. So I thought that was great. On the next slide, sorry, you talk about the uses and you put up the 4 pictures. Maybe because I used to do this, but 50,000 square feet is not a large supermarket. That's an average supermarket.
Okay.
We're looking more like 80. Stop and shops usually are average between 40 and 60. So that would be average. And then I think the next slide, we talk about a couple things still about data centers coming up. Okay. Okay, that one right there. Great. you say that applicant must hold 2 neighborhood meetings. I'm guessing means at least 2
Yes.
and not only 2. We talk about, nitpick, 0.5 miles, should be 0.5 mile. That's what my English teacher would flag me for.
Appreciate it.
Under clear signage, should we talk about maybe adequate notification? I'm not sure if clear signage is pulled
Yeah.
directly from something else, so I could just hear someone saying, we have to put signs up in 2027. And then next slide. We talk about max building size is 50,000 square feet. Can someone come in and want to go larger than 50 with a special permit? No, it's 50 no matter what. Okay, great. That was just more my understanding. And then the last piece is like, I think we should definitely put this on our website. We should see if Beth Mello would also run it. And then I think we talked about this. I just forgot where we landed, having handouts as people walk in. I don't know who typically pays for those, if that comes out of our budget or whatever.
We
I just
do.
think that would be really good. And the last thing is all those detail slides, just call that an appendix. Like because people typically won't read
Yep.
it. And frankly,
Yeah.
I know this is public and I don't mind saying this. We don't want them to read it.
Right.
It's not that we're hiding anything. It's just that it is boring. This does an excellent job of summarizing everything's in the appendix. That's the detail. So other than that, I mean, this is a lot of information to pull together. So nice work.
Just the one comment, I did reach out to Beth Mallow. She has the compare contrast. I provided her the videos and she wanted to do some diligence on her own. And then we're planning to have an interview. So I can make sure that we get in there. So thanks. I took your advice from the last time, so I appreciate it.
Can I ask one question? So would it be beneficial to utilize like a one-page flyer, Marnie, like that we can do in like the electronic backpacks for the school with the scan that people can scan and it'll take them to the town
Like a
website?
QR code.
Yeah, QR.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of additional ways to
Yeah.
educate people in advance and where the school, is kind of discussed, through the capital plan. There may be more people that are invested that normally aren't, that have families that makes it tough to come to town meetings. So again, just a thought, something that we could, put out there on social media and link them to, where all the information is and hopefully some people will take advantage of it.
Yeah, I did post on Southborough Community Sharing
Yep.
Care on
Saw that.
Facebook as well. It only got 2 likes, but
I'll get right on it.
I can share with you if you want the email address of the woman from the schools. She does all of the
yeah,
electronics.
please
It's one
do.
person.
Okay, that'll be
I'll send it
great.
to you right now.
And then we'll set up the QR code. That makes sense. And we'll make it just go to the planning board so it shows all the articles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, great job. Good work. All the Marnie and Alan and Tim and whoever else contributed, AI, Chat GPT, all the white papers that you read. And the advisory is going to be discussing the zoning articles on Wednesday, and Marnie, the zoning guru, will be in attendance to answer questions. Any questions or comments here?
I didn't actually think I was vast.
Did you walk this week?
Every day, it ends in Y.
Name,
Comments on the,
just name and address.
I did.
Oh, we didn't hear you. Did we hear?
I'll do it again. 10 Woodland Road,
it?
fast. Couple of comments on the slides. The first thing is, I would start in the overview with the impetus for the project, which as I understand it was, we lost businesses, right? We had at least one business who left town because zoning didn't allow for it.
Oh,
Yep.
So I think.
so that's a misnomer. That was that
Yeah.
Jim,
Yeah,
that they needed to, they lost their lease and they wanted to be in another building.
Yes,
which was zoned residential, and they had a use variance for office.
right. And now you can't get use variances because we removed that from the. code.
Right, yeah. So it wasn't like they tried to go into IP and it wasn't allowed. They were trying to go into a building in a residential zone.
Well, in any case, I think what's important is we want to make sure that we can accommodate businesses.
Right,
And-
yes.
And that should be, I think, where you lead off rather than, we just are, adding uses and juggling things. Right, because we're trying to be a more accommodating town and that.
Yes, attract businesses.
The second comment is where you reference annual updates. I think you want to say that they're annual plan updates, from the opponent, by then occupant. Where on the slide where you talk about small energy, including what homes can have, which is battery backup for solar and that sort of thing. I think you want to make it clear that the 1,000-foot setback doesn't apply to homes that have backup batteries attached to them. It was kind of vague when I looked at that slide. For data centers, I mean, yes, I think we're trying to be proactive. The words I've used is that we're trying to make sure that they get thoughtful consideration. We've heard feedback from at least one of the selectmen that this seems to be an anti-data center article. And every time he says it, I say no. What we're really trying to do is make sure that there is thoughtful consideration and they don't just appear or get miscategorized as data processing, which is currently in the zoning. So my keywords are thoughtful consideration. If you don't like mine, pick something. And then the last comment, which I've made before and hasn't made an impact, I don't think that zoning should be prohibiting biological level 3 and 4. There's Board of Health is the place to regulate that. There are federal regulations, and it just doesn't fit with zoning in my mind, but you're there. That's it for now.
Thank you, Tim. Anyone else? Anyone online have any questions or comments on the industrial park district? I do not see any hands.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing for the Industrial Park District expanded uses to 9 a.m. on April 11th, 2026.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Delniak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing. MBTA Communities Overlay District NCOD bylaw dimensional table correction. And this was just to match the table in the overlay bylaw with the standards for that zone, which is required in the code. If anything on that?
Yes, just quickly again, Mullins Forms was submitted by Marnie Houlihan for the MBTA Communities Overlay District Bylaw Dimensional Table Correction for date of missed session of March 9th, 2026, indicating that Marnie has reviewed all the information so she can continue to participate.
Ms. Houlihan.
Great, thanks. So this is Article 31 in the warrant article for town meeting on April 11th. And this essentially was a transcription error that we discovered in the dimensional standards table. And what we do in this dimensional standards table is we reference the dimensional standard in Residence B and the industrial park dimensional standards. And so what we realized was the comma between the stories and the feet in the table, and the floor area ratio, the FAR, had a percentage. So we removed there was an or instead of a comma. So we removed the or and placed it to the comma. So it's consistent with all of the other dimensional standards within our E code. And we removed the percent from the FAR ratio. If it was a percent, it'd be really, really impossible to meet. So we've basically just made it consistent with the table. So it's really just swapping out the table that exists in there now with the one that we're proposing in the bylaw. And that's it.
Mr. Maria.
Marnie, the only thing I might add is that, this planning board was very deliberate in making sure that we didn't change the underlying zoning where we went in and put overlay districts. And so just to make it clear that it's just purely administrative and that we're not changing the zoning, and this ensures that we're not changing the zoning.
Great point.
Thanks.
Ms. Brascio.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Belniak.
Nothing to add, thanks.
Anybody in the hearing room have any questions or comments? Anybody online have any questions or comments on the updating the table of dimensional standards, row D and E in the MBTA Communities Overlay District? I do not see any hands.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing for the MCOD bylaw dimensional table correction to 9 a.m. on April 11th, 2026.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes?
Jamiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Belniak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing zoning amendment to replace Shop C with Southborough Affordable Housing Trust, SAHT. This is another housekeeping item. Shop C was disbanded at town meeting and the Southborough Affordable Housing Trust took over their charge. So we're correcting that in our zoning bylaw. Karina.
And once again, it was a busy night on March 9th. Marnie Houlihan provided a Mullins form for missing the session on March 9th, 2026, indicating that she'd reviewed all the information so she can continue to participate in the public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Houlihan.
Great. So this is Article 30 in the town warrant for town meeting on April 11th, 2026. And as Ms. Latrell just described, the town of Southborough has removed the reference of Southborough Housing Opportunity Partnership Committee, previously known as Shop C. And it's been replaced with the Board of Trustees of the Southborough Affordable Housing Trust, SAHT. And again, this is more of an administrative effort to ensure that our bylaw is consistent with the terminology and lexicon used for the Southborough Affordable Housing Trust. So in every area of the town code, and I'm just going to scroll really quickly through it on the screen, every place in chapter 916, 174.13.2, major residential development, is where Shop C was used. We've replaced it with the SAHT acronym, and we've spelled out the acronym at the very beginning of the bylaw. So that is the full extent of the changes.
Mr. Maria.
That sounds great. No changes from my end, Marnie. Thank you.
Ms. Brascio.
No changes. Thank you.
No changes either.
Very good. So it looks intense, but it's just every section of the code where Shop C was mentioned, it had to be swapped out. Anybody in the room have any questions or comments? Anybody online have any questions or comments on replacing the reference to Shop C in the zoning code with the Southborough Affordable Housing Trust, SAHT? I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, I make a motion to continue the public hearing for zoning amendment, replace Shop C with Southborough Affordable Housing Trust, SAHT, to 9 a.m. on April 11th, 2026.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brashio, yes.
Dukenyak, yes.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, 22 Turnpike Road, Golf Range modification to major site plan approval. Karina, can you kick us off?
Peter Bemis,
Oops, sorry. I just muted you, Peter. We'll bring you on in a second. Okay. Just give me a quick
We
update.
see you, Peter. Karina's just going to update us and then we'll throw it to you.
Here it is. Okay, since the last public hearing, which was public hearing number 1 on March 9th, we received a submission of lighting plans, which included a photometric plan and some additional information on fixtures. That information was not necessarily complete. So Marnie assisted me in taking a look at those plans and corresponded with Mr. Bemis about that, the condition of that submission. And then I'll let Marnie continue.
Certainly. So Peter and I had a phone call just talking about the submitted light plan. And we discussed that the photometric plan has to be of the entire property versus just the driving range area. And while we acknowledge that he's not changing anything on the entire plan except for around the driving range, it does impact the way that we submit plans. And, you know, I basically said I didn't want to set any sort of a precedent where that would be okay. Peter recognized that. And so he agreed to walk away and work on a new set of photometric plans that would incorporate the entire lot, the 2 lots that combine into that one property. And then he is on the line as well.
Could I add just something else to what else we received? So this project is in review for peer review with Niche. And in following up with Niche, reviewing a draft peer review letter, I was updated that in addition to the lighting plans, that the existing conditions plans that were provided were not complete. So Niche had a site visit with Michael Hightower on, I believe it was the 12th or 13th of March. And and then followed up by preparing a review letter. Upon receiving that letter, I looked at it and there were some deficiencies there in the plans that were submitted. So I gave Niche a follow-up call just to reassure what was being conveyed. And things like the catch basin in the center of the field, there's a catch basin there and there's a pipe pointing in a certain direction, but it's not really picked up on the existing conditions plan. The information on the basins that are provided is very minimal. The topography contours, they're not labeled, so you can't tell where you are in elevation, specifically, most importantly, around the detention basins, because in generally, the topography around, you know, the big wide open areas is pretty general, and you can probably see that on, you know, Google Earth or something like that. The lighting was not called out specifically as to what exists, what is new, what is changed. So the purpose of this modification was to compare what was approved originally in 2002 and for the applicant to indicate what has changed. In the plans, partially did that with the red lines that was provided in the proposed site layout where they identified some new drainage components and such. However, not everything was picked up. We don't know what kind of landscaping was still in existence there, is still in existence. There was some screening to be provided behind the golf tee access roadway, and I believe those trees are gone. So there was also a section of patio that when Niche went out there, it was determined that that patio, the additional patio area, some of it was not on the plan. And all those things impact drainage. So Niche is going to submit a peer review letter tomorrow, which will include that item to request existing conditions plans be completed properly. And the existing conditions need to, when they're stamped, they also need to show the date of the survey and what kind of survey it was. Was it an on-the-ground survey? Is it information compiled from various sources from old plans or compiled from Google Earth or Google Maps information, or even our own GIS mapping? So that needs to be clear on the plan. The other thing is, and lastly, and it may not be all-inclusive, we'll see more tomorrow when I get the actual peer review, but when you have plans like this where you're showing the parcel over several sheets, it becomes very confusing, and there should be one sheet that shows the entire parcel with a locus of what sheets are representing, so that you can see how the different sheets connect. Planning board doesn't have, you're elected and volunteer, and you shouldn't have to, or anyone shouldn't have to like try to decipher what they're looking at and what connects where. So those were some comments that will be coming through, and hopefully will be incorporated with a revised submission that includes the complete lighting plans and also complete existing conditions plans. There was no date on the existing conditions or type of survey that was done, which is important. And then all the components need to be shown as a true existing conditions plan.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Bemis. Welcome.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. So Marnie's summation is accurate. I have no problem updating that, and we're working with the consultant to get the data back. So we'll do that, and we expected to get Niche's comments so that we could address those, and it looks like we'll get them tomorrow at some point, so that's good. And hopefully we can still stay on track for a meeting in 2 weeks, and if for some reason we can't because of the request from Niche or the consultant's information doesn't get back in time, then we'll just bump it for 4 weeks. But the idea here is to try to get this updated and get it in the format that everyone's expecting, and try to get it wrapped up. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sure. Oh, no, on the, so, 13th, I think, is our next meeting after, town meeting.
We're meeting on April 13th. Okay. And so we can do an extension on that day. Okay. Unless Peter agrees to do one now to extend it. And then we can just follow up with a form if necessary.
And then what do we want to start at early?
Or 6:45.
6:45.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let me just ask the rest of the board if they have any questions or comments. Mr. Maria.
Hi, Peter. Thank you for joining. I don't have any questions tonight. Thanks.
Ms. Brascio.
I have no comments or questions either.
Mr. Belnia.
None either, just looking forward to the next round of information.
Okay. Peter, I did look on Mass GIS, and those trees that were planted behind the covered tee and then further south around the corner at the end of the tees, They were there, but they have been removed.
Okay, I'll do some more research on that and we'll have a response, for the next meeting. And if we need to give you an extension for decision, we can agree on that now and I can sign a form, with Karina tomorrow. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to just continue for the two, but if we're not gonna have everything ready, we would just automatically extend. And if you need to push the decision period out, we'll do that now as well.
Yeah, you want to do, I think it'd be better to do that now. Because our next meeting's the 13th and the decision date's the 14th. So to just give us some. breathing-
Sure, agreed. Okay.
When should we push it out?
So we should say that the public hearing is going to be continued to April 13th with the deadline for planning board action. We should push it to 4 days after April 27th, which is the Friday following.
The 1st of May.
First.
Mhm.
Yeah, to May 1st. So continue to 4/13 with action by the planning board to 5/1, May 1st.
I'm in agreement with that and I'll come by and sign that with you tomorrow.
Okay, great.
So is that two separate motions?
One continue,
One.
because it's one form.
Okay. So I make a motion to continue the public hearing to 6:45 on April 13th, and extend the modification to MSPA to May 1st, 2026.
Second.
The decision date?
Oh, decision.
Yeah, the action, that when planning board has to act on it, the
Yeah.
deadline to vote unless it gets extended again.
So the decision date to May 1st.
Yeah.
As amended.
As
Oh.
amended, I second.
Any further discussion? Is anybody, oh, I didn't ask if anybody in the room or online has any questions or comments.
No hands raised.
I don't see any. Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes?
Houlihan, yes?
Demiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Bellmiak, yes.
Thank you, Peter. See you on the 13th.
Thanks.
Great,
Lisa.
great. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a public hearing, 154 Turnpike Road, non-compliance modification to major site plan approval. Karina, do you want to kick us off? Welcome, Mr. DePietri.
At least it's earlier tonight, huh?
Me too.
It was.
And in case I failed to mention it for 22 Turnpike, Marty Houlihan did provide a Mullins form and filed it with the town clerk for the March 9th, 2026 session missed, indicating she had reviewed all the information and allowing her to continue to participate.
Marnie, I bet you spent more time completing Mullins forms than the length of this planning board meeting up to this point.
And was there a Mullins form for this?
Yes, there is. Would like to just indicate that Marty Houlihan provided a Mullins form to the town clerk for 154 Turnpike Road, modification to major site plan approval for a missed session on March 9th, indicating she reviewed all the information of the meeting and allowing her to participate in the public hearing moving forward. And the one thing that we did receive since the last meeting was a lighting spec sheet that Bob DePietri provided. I think it was Bowler Engineering was on the title block, right? Bowler
Correct.
Engineering did that. The question was whether the two exterior wall lights for the Chase Bank, what their correlated color temperature was. And I think you're confirming with that, that it's 3,000 degrees Kelvin,
Correct.
not the 4,000 or whatever it was. And that information was distributed to the planning board so they could see.
Is that it?
That's it.
Welcome. Anything to add? Do you have a 14-page letter to read?
No, tonight. I'm here, and Bill DePietri and Justin DePietri, I think, are online.
I can bring them over.
Okay.
They've been brought over.
Okay. Bill or Justin, do you have anything you want to update the board on before the board comments?
No, we submitted the revised cut sheet for the code required light above the entrance doors for Chase.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Houlihan.
Certainly. So had mixed emotions about missing the meeting and watching it on TV last week. It was certainly late night. What I do want to say is I think that our planning board has worked collaboratively in trying to do the right things here. I want to first say that the lighting plan is like what you've submitted is still not sufficient from a lighting plan. So I need proof of installation. And so I don't know what that means from your developers, but if I need a proof of installation that says it's prior to May 20th, 2021. And so I'm sorry, but I can't take your word for it. I need to see evidence that says that the lightings were actually indeed installed. Because this is the whole purpose of our dark sky initiative is when a developer changes the lighting plans, we want to make sure that they're in compliance with our bylaw. That means that it's a hardscape calculation. So I need to understand the entire plan, even though it's only just for this one portion of it. I need to understand the entire lighting of the lot. And then we can talk about the specifics. You are in compliance with the 3,000 light, with the type of light shield, but we just need the hardscape. So I need to understand the luminaires that you are allowed in that district. The hardscape is a multiplier effect. And then we take in the lumens that exist on the property, and it's a pretty easy calculation. I've created an Excel spreadsheet. I can certainly send it to you, and it just requires that methodology to be done. That will be able to give me a perspective to say, is the lighting in compliance with our dark sky initiative? As I looked over and heard everything else, I know that there's still some things that need to be adjusted or addressed, and I just didn't know if you as the proponents are planning to address the things that came up last week, regarding the joint hearing to resolve the mitigation with the public shade tree, if any effort has been made on that to be able to have a conversation from both so we need a joint hearing between the planning board and the tree warden. I think that you as the proponent should actually contact Chris Leroy to make that happen. So that is a proactive attempt from your side. The fence screen, I didn't hear that there was a mitigation plan for that. So I don't know what you are coming in tonight to propose for that. And then the final thing was on landscaping, is that it was still not in compliance. That I know you, Ms. Luttrell, at the end of the meeting said, I'd invite you to come in and count trees on a plan. So I don't know if that actually happened and if that landscaping, and that's really not my purview, but it's just the things that I was expecting to see some sort of effort put forward tonight to hear. So that's kind of where I stand.
Ms. DeMaria.
Hi, Bob, welcome, and online as well. I don't really have too much further to add. I did want to say how struck I was by the neighbor who really was interestingly passionate about you being allowed to have your business and her being allowed to have her privacy and peace. And I do hope that we can come up with some sort of resolution. I would be interested to see some movement there for protection and her privacy and all of, the neighbors. But that's all I wanted to mention tonight.
Ms. Brashia.
Ms. Houlihan actually covered all my points. I just wondered if we have seen, I know Ms. Latrell, you had requested a 2026 landscaping plan, and I didn't see it. And okay, so that hasn't been done yet. So still looking for those things as well. Thank you.
Mr. Bellingham.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in and thanks online. Just a couple brief things. Last meeting, I'm looking over the minutes and it's the good lion's share of the minutes from our last meeting. And I don't mean that as a pejorative. I just mean there was thorough discussion. So I don't know what has been net new between last time and this time. So hopefully there's stuff to go over. I didn't see a ton shared in our Dropbox, which is what Karina typically does. So I might just be missing it. Wouldn't be the first time. And then the second, just to clarify, I appreciated a citizen coming in and sharing a point of view. If I'm not mistaken, that citizen's backyard abuts a different property. Is that correct?
You're correct. It was 144.
Okay.
Next door.
Passionate, which is great, but maybe out of the scope of this. But that's one of multiple people up here. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Yeah, so where we sit now, we need to come into compliance with lighting. I did go back and watch the meeting from July 11th, 2022. And at that time, Bill DiPietri said that the new lights were ordered 6 to 8 months ago, which would have been after the lighting bylaw passed. So they need to be in compliance. At that time, he also promised to supply the new lighting, the spec sheets for the new lighting, so we could assure that they were in compliance. And as I mentioned the last time, the lighting plan shows trespass, so it's not in compliance with the previous bylaw either, so it needs to come into compliance. So we need a new lighting plan, as Ms. Houlihan said. The landscaping is not in compliance. That needs to be in compliance. And then the whole public shade tree removal and mitigation, which was promised back in the meeting of July 11th, 2022. That's all I have. Mr. DiPietri, Bill, I see your hand up.
Yep. Can we go through these one at a time? So we're on the same page on our end. I know you rattled through a bunch of stuff, but I'd like to go through each item and then we can go on to the next one if that's okay.
Sure.
So the lighting. Let me start by saying we don't know when the town changes bylaws. No one notifies us. You guys are on the planning board. If you change the bylaw, I would think you would send a notice out to the local developers or property owners so they know what's going on. I've been in town for 20-something years, and usually we get a heads up. The town planner calls, we get a letter or something saying that things change. We're not mind readers. We don't know what's changed. Justin did talk with Karina, and the stuff that she sent us in 2022, which was after the town meeting vote, it says draft. So how are we supposed to know?
Those were the regulations. That wasn't the bylaw. And a
Well,
couple of things when you make,
it still said draft on it.
but it doesn't matter.
Well, you can say it doesn't matter, and I can say the same thing. It doesn't matter. It was a draft. You guys, no one sent us the approved bylaws. We didn't know.
Those were the regulations. They weren't the bylaw. The bylaw was approved.
It still stated draft. We were talking about site lighting with Karina, nothing else. She sent us that information. We gave it to the electrician, and the electrician checked on the town's website, and it still had the old stuff. So no one said it went to town meeting, it took a vote. None of that was in the email. All it was is, here's the new bylaw, or whatever you want to call it. And it said draft on it.
Well, so when you have an approved site plan and you make changes to it, you're required to modify it.
Well,
then
then I
you would know
I would
Before
think
you
you'd-
make changes.
I would
what
think
is
you'd have
required.
every property owner in the town of Southborough before this board then. Because I drive up and down Route 9 and there isn't one building that's in compliance with when it was originally permitted. So if you guys are gonna hold me to the standard, you better hold everybody else.
We're working on it.
Can I,
Go ahead.
Bill, this is Marnie. So I think first, what I'd like to just ask you is that you've been in Southborough, you've developed in Southborough. When massive changes occur to a site like what happened there, that typically triggers a modification to site plan. And you know this.
I don't know that because this is the first time it's happened. Yes, I permitted a bunch of new stuff in town. We've never renovated the properties before.
Well, I guess it's
Property
all a
line,
learning experience.
Landscaping, lighting. We didn't do it on a Sunday or at night. This happened over a 90-day period. You guys drive up and down Route 9 how many times a day? No one said a word to us. Hey, stop, what's going on?
Bill, it was amended into the town E-code. I think we can sit here and you can stay on your side of the argument. We can stay on ours. I think the hope is that we're all here to preserve our environment, and you are a developer in town. What we're trying to do is get collaboration and cooperation. So what we're asking you to do, I don't think is a big ask. I think it's looking at your site, it's evaluating what the lights are, what you put in place, and then doing the calculation. The calculation provides such a broader stance of allowed luminaires than the previous existing bylaw. So can we at least just try to work together to cooperate to try and get to, your point is made.
I will be glad to send you the cut sheets on the light fixtures that we installed.
But I need to understand, where are all the light installed? Are they all replacements from the original plan? Have they changed from the original plan?
No, we just they have the same pole. We took the old non-dark compliant light off, by the way, and we installed these dark compliant light fixtures on the exact same pole, same location. We didn't add any new pole locations.
So I think it's a simple fix. So I think you're nodding your head. I think we just work together. I'm happy to help you. I'm not a photometric light plan person, but you're going to have to, in a modification, you have to submit a light plan.
Well, we already submitted one.
That was not sufficient.
Well, what was not sufficient about it? What was insufficient? It had all the foot candles.
We don't measure it in foot candles anymore. It requires the calculation that I talked about. We need to see what light fixtures were changed, what were the new spec sheets on there. They usually are contained in that. I can give you guys an example of what good looks like, and you can work with that. It shouldn't really require a lot of time.
Well, send it along. We're glad to take a look at it.
Thank you, Bill. I think we just are looking to kind of move forward through the process. I don't want to argue.
No, listen, I don't want to argue either, but we spent a lot of money on that property. We were given wrong information from the town. The town never informed us about the changes. So I'm not going to rip that stuff off and put new stuff in. I'm telling you right now. If that's the path we're going down, then we might as well stop the meeting and move on to court then. I'm willing to work with you guys, but I'm not throwing all this stuff away.
Okay, please don't escalate this. We're not going to throw everything out. We're going to work with you. We're going to try and figure this out. So, at the end of the day, Bill, we are here to support you. You're here to support us. It's a lesson learned. If there's any site plan that you have now in town that modifies, I'd encourage you to check the town code to see if our bylaws have been updated or changed. We do have a town meeting coming up. We've got a lot of bylaws coming up. The IP district, if you have property in the IP district, it will affect those properties. So that will happen if the town approves that. We don't have a system to notify people, but I would encourage you and the people on your team to make sure that you check for town codes.
We will moving forward. Believe me.
Thank you.
Sorry, just a question. You said you will check town codes moving forward, but as a developer for 20+ years, you weren't checking town codes prior?
No, we always do.
We were only
That's not
doing
what I said.
we were doing
So you will
new
now.
development before, not renovating properties. We've only built new in town, never renovated anything. And in the past, when there was a bylaw change that affected us, they reached out to us and told us, hey, we're updating the sign bylaw, guys. Might want to pay attention to it. I remember when that happened.
So I know there was a question just now on the photometric plan, so I called it up. And I think what the issue is that they did provide a hardscape calculation, but it exceeded the hardscape requirement, the lumens, the total lumens for the site. So each fixture has X amount of lumens. You multiply that by the variable that's in the code, which hasn't changed from the rules and regulations. It's the same one. And so you're allowed to have, based on Bowler's, I think it was Bowler's plan, your calculated maximum hardscape is 256,000 approximately. And that's what is allowed in that zone. And you have a pretty liberal zone. I think that's the most liberal one with 5 lumens per square foot of hardscape. So based on all the hardscape you have there and the fixtures that you installed and the lumens that you're saying those fixtures have, your calculated lumens for the whole site is at like 334,000. So you're above the site's lumen levels, right?
Now,
With the plans that you have. So maybe there's some kind of lesser bulb you can install, not a fixture, but sometimes these bulbs, you can just do a slightly less and you'll be perfectly compliant.
these aren't bulbs. You buy the entire head. It's a complete package. And Karina, it's funny you mentioned about lumens.
Yeah.
Chase ran the lumens. They said we just barely meet code for safety.
Well,
With
I'm
what
looking at
they
the
did there.
plan. Oh, you mean, the actual physical light itself, you're saying?
No. The amount of light out there today, we
Yeah.
just barely meet the standard for safety. And it's not a salt bylaw, whether it's a state or a federal one, I'm not really sure. But when you guys changed the lighting bylaw, did anyone check as to what like safety levels are? Minimal
Yes.
safety standards?
Yes, we used the industry standards at the time, the EIS?
Yes.
IES, yeah, I'm sorry, the IES standards, which are also referenced in the rules and regulations that went along with this, which you can currently find on the planning board website. But yeah, a lot of study went into it. As a matter of fact, Marnie was the planning board member who primarily prepared the information to make sure that it coordinated with the standards, the IES standards, in conjunction with planning board staff. So I don't know what else to tell you. I'm just looking at the plan, and Bowler knows this. They should have been advising you properly. Initially Bowler said, we just have to show you the 2 lights for Chase Bank, and that's all you need for the site. And they had to be educated that, no, you really have to do the whole site. And it's not a big deal. I think you can get there, and we can, like Marnie says, we can work on getting there together, but we just need commitment that you will work with us on it.
And if it requires a variance, a waiver, we talk about it. So I sent a pretty lengthy email to Shannon, and I don't know if you ever received that, but I can re-forward it, and it just goes through all the calculations. And so the question really is you have 4,000 Kelvin on here, which I don't think those are out of compliance. But trying to see what you have and reevaluating the fixtures. And so I'll forward that to all of you so you have it.
If you just forward it to her email, I have that, so I can pull it right off.
Okay.
Thank you.
So are we done with lighting? Do you want to move on to the next thing, Bill?
Sure, how about fencing?
The what?
Fencing.
Okay.
So as I explained at the last meeting, we walked the site with Wayne Thies. The fence called along the southern property. There's no housing that abuts us on the southern property. Him and I did a field walk, and we decided to take the fence along the southern side and take those sections and put them on the southwestern corner of the property, where there were houses directly across the street where the plans did not call for fencing. This was done 20-something years ago.
So I think the last time the board said that they would rather have trees screening than fencing. And there were trees removed and not replaced back there. So I think, was the board okay with no fence but trees?
Yeah.
Or no offense, but just vegetation of some sort, but.
Yeah, trees or shrubs.
Yep.
So are you okay with that, Bill?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Shrubs, but no grasses.
Screening.
Well, yeah, screening trees and shrubs.
Something
Nate,
that would be
Nate.
equivalent to a fence. I don't, so if a fence is
Yeah.
6 feet tall, but a grass is 1 feet tall, then it's not serving the same purpose.
I was talking ornamental grasses.
Well, especially not the invasives that you have.
Okay, we'll look at some evergreens.
Okay. That was easy. Next thing.
And Bill, if there's that website called Go Botany Bob, that you can look to confirm that they're native. If it's green anywhere in New England, it would probably work.
Landscaping.
Okay.
So when I went out and I measured the caliber of the trees, they're 3 to 3.5 inch caliber trees. There's one which is not, something wrong with it. It has to come out. This on the entrance on Route 9 coming in on the right-hand side, the first tree coming in. Other than that, they're all 3 to 3.5 inches. Some are even more than, some are even 3.5 to 4.
So your landscaper was wrong.
Yeah, well, just because he puts we don't always buy the same size tree that they spec out on the plans. And that might have been his initial spec, and we just probably saw him and bought something bigger. But everyone's welcome to go measure them.
Okay, and then there was an issue with the numbers.
Yes, I think we're short. Justin, do you remember, is it 4 or 6?
I don't remember. Bobby has the plan in front of him now.
I think we are short some trees there.
I don't know where you're gonna put any more trees. They're already like 6 feet apart.
And I did check the some online websites for whether these trees are deciduous to New England, and they are. The grasses aren't, you're correct, but the trees were Acer rubrum. Red maple.
Well, yeah, they are. I didn't say they weren't. They're just cultivars, which are not native. By definition, they're cultivated, not naturally occurring. So there were substantial shortages in landscape.
I thought it was 4 or 6.
Yeah, I'm looking here to see what the tree.
So there's a requirement for trees and shrubs.
Yeah, I was just talking with trees for now. I'm just trying to
Okay.
keep them separate.
I thought we had plenty of trees. I thought it was the shrubs were an issue because they weren't considering the grass as a shrub.
Yeah, I think you're right. I see. Trees are close, shrubs are not.
Well, like I said, we do have that one tree that's probably a 1.5 inch caliper. I don't know what happened, why they done that up there.
Well, I wouldn't pull out a tree, but
And then shrubs, many grasses are native. That particular one, I believe recently came off the list as as recent as 12 of 25, if I was reading correctly.
Did you get a good deal on them right before that?
Well, he definitely didn't tell us that they were not native, I can tell you that. So we are okay removing the grasses and installing something that is native.
Okay, that sounds good. Anyone else comment on landscaping? Ms. Houlihan?
I have no comments on landscaping.
Mr. Maria?
No, no comments.
Ms. Braccio?
So maybe, how many trees, I know you talked a lot about trees, you did a lot of research into this last time. How many trees do you believe, tree-wise, you said you think they're okay? But if we're talking landscaping as a whole, are we discussing the shrubs too, or just the trees at this point?
Well, both, but we'd like to keep them separate. I don't want, I don't want to say we're short 30, but we don't know what they are. I'd rather keep it narrowed down to, a tree versus a shrub.
Okay.
And we can bring that information at the next meeting. I thought we had it here somewhere, but maybe
Okay.
it came from someone else.
Then I'm all set, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Then do you want to talk about shrubs? Did you have shrub questions, Lisa?
Well, I just wondered what your calculations were, maybe, are you on the trees, 4 to 6 is within the range of where you did your calculations, and then what were your calculations for shrubs? I know you'd mentioned it and I didn't write it down at the last meeting.
So the requirements are like along Route 9, along Breakneck Hill, and then along the southern and eastern property lines.
Yep.
Those are pretty close on trees, very short on shrubs
Okay,
by a lot. And then there's parking landscaping, which I think was around the building, which doesn't have any landscaping anymore. There were areas that, so there's so many trees or ornamental trees or a mix of both that are required per parking space. So there's shortage there on shrubs.
Do you want to just run through your numbers so we're all aligned with what your numbers are? I know you did go through them in the last, but I think just on Route 9. Breakneck.
So Route 9, 16 trees and 107 shrubs are required, and there are 12 trees and 76 shrubs. Along Breakneck Hill, which faces the residential, 7 trees and 97 shrubs are required. There are no shrubs. I think the trees are there.
okay.
Along the southern, 7 trees, 8 were provided, 93 shrubs required, no provided. Along the eastern side, 7 trees, 6 were provided, 98 shrubs, 0 provided. And then the parking landscaping, it's either 33 trees, 44 ornamental, or 37 mix. And there, I know there aren't really parking islands, but there are areas where there was landscaping prior. So that, I understand you may not hit these numbers, but an effort would be good.
So if we pull out the invasive grasses and put ones that are non-invasive, do those count towards shrubs?
Yeah. If they're like, so that grass is considered a shrub, although it's an invasive. So I counted those as shrubs.
Okay.
Any other landscape comments?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. And the last thing was the public shade tree removal mitigation. You still there, Bill?
Yeah, I was thinking whether it was public or private,
What?
the shade, that tree that was taken down.
Well, so if you look at your plans, it clearly shows the right of way of the road goes across that corner where that tree was. And on 7/11, you had that, 7/11/22, you made that same statement that you thought it was a private tree. And it was said then get a surveyor to stamp a letter saying that that was completely on private property. And you had a civil engineer do that, and that doesn't count. As great as civil engineers are.
No, well, we tried to get a survey, but he says, I can't survey something that's not there anymore.
Right, but look at your plans. The right of way goes right across that corner where the tree was.
Yeah, so maybe some of it was in, some of it wasn't ours. So do we get
Well, if
credit
it-
for taking
if
down
it-
part of the town's tree?
Well, if it touches the right of way, it's a town tree.
No, right, but I'm saying is, do we get credit because it had to come down here? It was limbs falling all over the place.
Well, the other problem with that story was there was a 2021 arborist report that said that tree was in good condition. And it wasn't an ash tree either.
I don't know what kind of tree it was, but one of the pictures you guys pulled up the other day actually showed the root rot down at the bottom. Someone took a picture, maybe it was us that provided to you guys, I'm not sure, but it was taken out of the passenger side window.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the
It
bottom
showed
of
it
that,
on the road.
yeah, if you look at the bottom of that tree, you can see all the root rot.
Well, so
And
I'm not an arborist because there's,
Yeah,
any
yeah.
cavity doesn't mean the tree is going to fall over.
Well, look, I'm telling you, we didn't just take down a tree because we wanted to. We weren't worried about it falling over. There were dead limbs, and I mean like not little ones, big ones falling. And I'm going to say the tree was probably 70% dead. It had some green, leaves on it, no doubt about it, but the tree was in fast decay. And I don't know who did that report that you had, but even the tree warden, when Shannon spoke to him, he agreed that the tree was on the list to come down sooner or later.
Well, so the arborist said it was in good condition, but the point is that a public shade tree came down and it should be mitigated for. And in Chris's letter, he said that it should be mitigated for.
Well, we can find a spot to plant a couple more trees.
So Mimi, is that a public hearing between us and the tree warden with Capital Group attending?
Yeah, I would think so. And offer what your proposed mitigation is.
Maybe we can see if Chris can join our meeting on the 13th.
I thought he already provided what he thought a mitigation should be.
He did, but there was never a hearing.
It's a joint hearing was required by state law. Because it's a public shade tree.
Okay.
So it does have to be posted in the paper,
Oh, we have to post in the paper, so it's much more of a process.
but it's a tighter posting than with a standard, like a zoning amendment public hearing. You can do like a 2 consecutive weeks, but it only has to be, it's a much tighter time frame. You can do like a Friday and a Sunday posting and then in the newspaper. And it doesn't go to abutters, it goes to towns and agencies only, which is about 11 different places, and that's just regular mail. But it is a public hearing, so we'd have to just have, the applicant would be Bill Petrie, right? So you'd have to, and then the public hearing is consolidated with the tree warden and the planning board because it's scenic road. And there's no application fee. It's just presenting something and having a solution.
We would just have to check to see if Chris would join us, because I
Yeah.
think the evenings are usually tough for him, right?
Right.
Coming into the evening
yeah.
meetings.
But if he can zoom in, right? So we can talk, I'll talk to him and see what his availability, but you'd have to fill out an application
Okay.
and maybe a plan just showing, one of the plans you have showing where the tree was.
Okay.
So we have it in record. And then once it gets decided, then we just draft a quick decision, a one pager. It just says the outcome of the vote.
Okay.
Can you send me that picture so we can try and identify the tree on a plan?
Yeah.
I think we can do it pretty good from that.
We also have the arborist report, right? We could probably dig up.
On the town website.
Yeah, it's on the town website, so we can probably dig that up. And that will tell you what kind of tree it was.
What date were we talking about?
April 13th, it's our next scheduled meeting, not at town meeting.
Maybe, I don't think we're gonna have all the information by then. Maybe we can do the meeting after that.
27th?
Let me
April
just,
27th.
I'm just checking, make sure.
Did a lot of work.
Gonna have to do an extension.
Yeah, why don't we shoot for the 27th?
27th?
For the continued public hearing for this modification is what you're.
Yeah, well, and for that meeting with the tree
And-
board.
And the
Public
tree
hearing.
hearing. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Maybe that'll give him enough time so he can plan ahead a little bit.
And Bob, you can reach out to me for any questions with that tree application.
Okay.
Karina, don't we need to get a form to extend the decision date as well?
Yes, what we can do is, you can vote on it to continue and to extend, and we'll prepare a form tomorrow
And,
and get the signatures.
okay,
I'll email it
Thank
to
you.
you and then Mimi signs it, but it'll be voted today for an extension. And we want to,
Would we extend to the 8th,
May,
May 8th or 15th?
No. April 27th. Oh, well, that's.
No, for the decision due date. Give us
Yeah.
a couple of days to get it in,
May
Yeah.
1st.
Friday.
May 1st.
You know, and if everything's not solved, then we'll extend it one more time, but hopefully everything will be together, so. Continue.
Where the tree was. Here's the public right of way. It was here. Yeah. Here's the public right of way. The trees don't- yeah.
Are we good to continue?
Are we good to continue, Bill?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on the shrubs. Because some of these, I don't know where we're gonna fit some of these things. I mean, can we look at the site as a whole? I mean, the trees, I think we're in pretty good shape based on your math. For some reason, I thought we were short 4, though. Maybe it was something else I was thinking of. I don't know.
There were some shortages. 4 sounds probably right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the shrubs kind of fill in. In like the previous site plan, there was care to be taken on Breakneck Hill because it abuts residential. So there was a
Yeah.
lot, in the original landscape plan, there was a lot more planting there and the shrubs can fill in there. Because there
Yeah.
aren't there.
But you had 97 shrubs in Breakneck Hill Road. I don't think there were 97 ever there.
On the plan, the original plan, there were.
In the original.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, if we have, and I don't know what the total count is, let's just say at some point we'll agree with the total count, but I think if they're all not gonna fit on one side, can we spread them out?
Yeah,
Okay,
I would think.
yeah. And you said you're okay with ornamental grasses as long as they're not invasive ones?
Well, native would be,
Native, okay, yep, native, got it.
Straight native? Or native? Straight native species, meaning not
Yeah,
a
well-
cultivar.
Well, native means not cultivar.
Okay, just
You don't cultivate something that occurs naturally.
naturally, right.
All right,
Okay,
we continue?
yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, I make a motion to continue the public hearing for 154 Turnpike Road non-compliance modification to major site plan to 7 PM. Oh, we could actually do, yeah, let's do 7
6:30.
PM.
Oh, 7, okay, yeah.
On April 27th. And action for decision due date change for modification for major site plan modification from April 19th to May 1st.
We have someone wants to. make a
Oh, I'm
public
sorry.
comment.
Mr. Litt, sorry about that.
Tim Litt, Woodland Road. I'm just thinking a little bit about, lessons to be learned from this encounter. I'm not a lawyer, but as far as I know, government has no obligation to inform the citizens or others who might be affected of changes in laws or rules and regulations. They have to be available, but you're not required to push them. That said, it occurs to me that it might be reasonable to, in the records of decision or the orders of conditions, to put a reminder that says, the rules and regulations are subject to change and it's your responsibility, under these circumstances to review them.
A new condition.
That seems
site
like
plan. It's a good idea.
way to prevent this kind of misunderstanding from happening. I think it's unfortunate that there was precedent where someone as a courtesy extended notice where it wasn't required, and that seems to have caused this to happen. So I'm just trying to think of ways that don't require a lot of effort, but at least put on record that it's not the town's obligation to push these out.
Thanks, Tom.
Anyone else before we move on have any questions or comments on 154 Turnpike? I don't see any hands.
You want me to make a new amendment? Or are we good?
I think we're good. You made a motion.
I made a motion.
Okay, and I'll second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes.
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Belniak, yes.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill and Justin.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
You get that from all these towns. It's like right after the other hearing.
On Mass Planners, it's been all over there. It's all been redacted.
I'll just work with you on the lighting.
Yeah.
Okay. RJ?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank
follow
you,
up.
Bob.
Thanks, have a good night.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a discussion item. Subdivision rules and regulations update. Mr. Belniak.
I have a minor update. The update is Karina, Bill, and I have a meeting. We finally booked one. And
A back-
just to be sure, we booked a backup meeting. case- No, and this is like, haha, funny, but also like, we could get a freak snowstorm. Someone could be sick. Might have something as part of my day job pop on. So we put an original meeting for Tuesday, the 31st, and a backup meeting for Thursday, the 2nd. We will have all gone through the documents ahead of time. And so the meeting is not to be, let's walk through this. It's questions, comments, what do we need to discuss? And just to recap for everyone, because it has been just a little while. the idea is that we'll share everything with the whole board. That's the intent. But what I was hoping is to meet with Karina and Bill first to get like a Rev 1 of feedback, so that when the rest of you all get it, I'm sure you'll have feedback, and I hope and expect it. It's just that it won't be as much because we'll have that first pass, that first cut we'll have gone through. So by next meeting, well, I'm sorry, let me pause and ask a question. What is my deadline for getting in incorporated changes in time for the meeting on the 13th? To make it into the packet in time and all those kinds of things.
Well, for applicants, we typically require 7 days in advance so that planning board members have an opportunity to look at it.
So that would be April 6th. Okay. So,
Right, is that sufficient?
Yeah, if you can, somewhere.
right. It won't be the day
5,
before
7.
because that's
Yeah,
not,
that's
that
hard.
doesn't serve anyone any good.
Yeah.
But I'll aim for hitting the 6th, which gives us a few days after we meet to incorporate changes. And if all goes well, then when we meet again on the 13th, we'll have something to look at, discuss, comment.
So are you doing all the regulations or just certain sections?
So what I did was based on an initial meeting with Bill, he had, well, there's two pieces here. There's subdivision regulations, and then there's the A&R stuff. So first subdivision regulations. When I foolishly raised my hand for this, Bill approached us and said, hey, I have a handful of
You
subdivisions.
heard us all
Yeah,
smirking.
I did, and now I'm learning.
Volunteering.
I think there was 10 or maybe 11 subdivisions in town where he wanted to call our attention to as examples of, hey, here are some things that went well, and largely here are some things that didn't go well. And so the idea was we were to look at them and kind of form comments and then in aggregate comment on what that is. So that's what I did. Karina, I think the first time we met, you were busy, and then subsequent times schedules just didn't work out. But so I have all that packaged up, huge appendix, which is like the raw notes, but then basically summarized, this is what I think. That's the subdivision stuff. So the intent is to go through and look at things like cul-de-sacs, curbing, catch basins, the features that you typically find in a subdivision, and talk about what might we want to keep and what might we want to suggest as a planning board when we start looking at new subdivisions that come in. For the A&R process, what I looked at is what we had. I looked at the comments you shared with me earlier, Mimi, some other things I found online, and then I looked at what other surrounding towns do for their A&R process and kind of compared and contrasted, and then said, what if we consider making changes? What might that look like? And that will just be up for discussion as well. So not suggesting we need to change everything. It's just, if we were, here's a point of view on it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So Alan, the end product of before you submit to the planning board with this document on the 6th, are you is the plan to take the existing subdivision rules and regs as it's written in the code and then show changes to that, deletions, additions, clarifications versus just a whole bunch of ideas?
Great question. More B than A, because I don't think it would behoove me on behalf of our board to suggest that we're making changes before you had a chance to even look at it. So my thought is to present it to you all. This is what I found, and then use a meeting, either that meeting or perhaps another one, to say, okay, I've had some time to go through this. I see you're making suggestions about this, this, and this. Let's consider these 5. Let's take these 3. They stink. Let's take these 4, table them, or what have you, and then go through and suggest where they would go. Only because I don't overstep my bounds and say, let's start marking this up yet when you guys haven't even had a chance to weigh in. So,
For example, like you say, grass strips should be this wide instead of this.
right,
Or pavement should be 2 inches, not 1 1/4 to
Right.
meet Mass DOT. So like a bullet item of technical changes that would be then picked up and incorporated into the code if they're agreed to.
yes,
So like a grocery list of things.
right,
And then you put the book together.
right. But much like in my house, a grocery list that gets heavily edited before I go to the store.
While you're at the store.
Why are Oreos on here 3 times?
Okay,
yes.
better. I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're used to seeing like the bylaw draft and then it's edited. This is a little different
You'll see all the technical.
Yeah, it'll be the step
Wish
before that.
list.
More
essentially.
Yeah.
conceptually.
I like.
I like that idea. Yeah. Thanks,
Sure.
Alan. Fun times.
And there's a hand raised. Manu, you had a question or a comment? Can't hear you. Okay, let's move on. The next item on the agenda is a discussion item, 250 Turnpike Road, 40B, ZBA application update. So they had a meeting last week, but it was just a continuation until 4:15. I don't know if the board wants to provide any comments.
I just haven't had a chance to look at what that, what they submitted. So I think this whole town meeting has me a little discombobulated, so I probably won't have time to review it. So I'm gonna probably let what you guys want to decide, but I probably won't have time.
I mean, what are the dates, those ZBA dates? I did have a chance to look at some of the
April
materials.
15th, there is their next meeting.
I mean, conceptually, I think that we should, provide, the planning board typically provides comments, so I would be supportive of that.
Ms. Brascio?
When would we be looking to have the discussion on this? I need to go back, as Marnie said, and review as well. Were you looking to do something and craft a letter and discuss it at the next meeting on the 13th, or?
The 13th wouldn't really give them their meetings the 15th. So I was hoping
Okay.
if there are any comments for then. Do you want to add it, a quick discussion to our next week Zoom one item only meeting that keeps growing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mr. Belmere?
Just to confirm it, they're meeting the 18th or the 15th?
I thought the 15th. I have the 15th
The
written
15th.
down.
Okay, because in
Big
the,
meeting with town council and everybody there. The peer review comments should be in.
okay, because in the email from Laura to a bunch of people, it said, next public hearing for this, public hearing for the process will be at CBA's regularly scheduled March 18, 2026 meeting at 7:30.
Yeah,
So
so
the
they
15th
did,
is-
they had that meeting and they just continued it.
Oh,
There
okay,
really
sorry.
wasn't anything offered.
I was, okay.
They're waiting for peer review, I think.
And then I think Lucas sent something in. Okay. The one question I have is much like Lisa and Marnie said about getting up to speed. It is awesome that they post all the documents onto the ZBA's portion of the website, but if you scroll down, there are
Lot.
several. So I guess I don't know if someone on ZBA might be able to say, well, ideally you'd consume it all, but realistically, that's just not going to happen. So is there a pointer where if you review these X number of documents, you'll be sufficiently up to speed?
The date. If you scroll.
So
are you-
just
well,
just
there-
the most
so-
recent, or?
Well, they're like 8 attachments. There's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah,
I mean, I know they're sort of by date. What I'm saying is if I just read the most recent, is that going to bring me up to speed, or might there be something else earlier that I should know in addition to knowing just the latest?
you should also look at the approval for the contractor yard bays site plan,
Mm,
because there are property line changes occurring.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
that
would
was,
impact.
so that was my, haven't had a lot of time to really dig deep into it, but just from looking at the
Yeah.
site plan, they're proposing changing the property line. And if they do, their site plan would be out of compliance. And I don't think that they'll be able to meet the 50-foot setback for that contractor's yard building.
Wasn't there concern about trees that had came down, and there was a whole discussion on trees beyond? Yeah, I remember I had glanced at the plan, Mimi, and I I agree with you. There's some major changes on there as far as the boundaries, and all those trees that we had talked about would be gone. I mean, it's.
Oh, yeah,
really-
yeah, they're, yeah,
Yeah.
part of the landscaping. And that was very important at our site plan because we knew housing was going there, that it needed to be screened.
So I agree with Karina. If you go back, Alan, and look at the site plan and the decision for the contractor's yard and then compare it to the current plans, I agree. It will stand out to you what we should be writing.
Okay, thanks.
So should we add that to the 30th, just to have some quick comments, and then
Yep.
someone can be assigned to write a letter? All
Are
right.
you volunteering, Mimi? Is that what you just said?
I said someone.
No, I thought you said, I, Mimi, will.
Someone who can't attend the meeting.
Oh. I'd happily do that if someone takes good notes.
No, I'm only kidding. You've got a lot on your plate.
I
All
think
right.
we should utilize your skills while we have them, Mimi.
Okay, that's that on that one. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that? Last discussion item is eminent hazard tree removal. And I asked that this be on the agenda because we received another email with eminent hazard trees that were moved. And as a planning board member, I believe it is my obligation to ensure that all the projects before us adhere to Mass General Law and adhere to our bylaws, which are voted on by the residents of this town. And it's their belief that that's how things will be developed in town. And Southborough is a tree city. We're obligated to follow Chapter 87 and Chapter 40, Section 15C. And this obligation was reiterated and memorialized in the Town Code, Chapter 153, which was voted on by the residents of this town. Additionally, there was a tree policy or regulation that was adopted by the tree warden and the select board, which approved by both has the strength of a bylaw. So the tree warden is obligated to follow the town's code, Mass General Law, and this policy. So it appears that imminent hazard has become an avenue to bypass Mass General Law and town code. So the imminent hazard means that the tree poses a hazard for death or harm and needs to be mitigated before there's a chance to have a hearing, which is 14 days. But the last email removed 3 trees, one of which in February, so this email was on 3/13. In February, we received an email that said trees were removed that day. And it happens that they weren't removed that day because one of the trees was on this 3/13, which is way more than 14 days. There could have been a hearing. Additionally, last December, the select board chair contacted the planning board because at one of their select board meeting things, what do they call them? When they talk to people who come in and ask questions.
Townhouse hours.
Office hours, that's what it is. Someone came in and said that they had requested a tree be removed and they hadn't heard anything. So the select board chair contacted planning board, but we didn't hear anything. The planning board contacted the tree board and he's like, oh, that's on a list of residents' trees and, I'll put that together and for a January hearing. Well, we never heard anything. And then that tree suddenly appeared on an imminent hazard and was removed. So it appears that the code's not being followed, the policy's not being followed, and that if people complain, then it becomes an imminent hazard. So I wondered if we should write a letter to the tree warden, copy Bill and select board, or how we should handle this.
So, if I may. So we're already talking about a tree hearing for 154. I think that's a perfect time to have a discussion and cue Chris up that we're looking to have this discussion,
Okay,
you know, and if the select board wants to come, they're welcome to come and participate in the discussion as well. But I think where he's going to be here via Zoom or in person, that's the perfect opportunity to have this discussion. But I think we should cue him up that, you know, what our concerns are in advance.
so on April 27th, that's a great idea.
Just to add on to that, what I was going to say before Lisa said something would be, let's maybe for the first approach, skip a letter and just have a chat, have a discussion with advance notice, but the timing works out such that we could have a chat and discussion and it could be out in the open and in public. So yes, as long as we give them a heads up. So there's two things to discuss. There's 154, but then also the larger at large issue and just, yeah. And then after that, if we need to do like a letter writing effort or something like that, we can discuss it at a future meeting, but
Yeah,
having a good
no.
open discussion is good.
Yeah, this is a great idea, way better than a letter.
I like that.
I'll just add, I mean, we're also owed an explanation about the replanting program. So I actually think this is a nice opportunity to start a series of conversations. You know, we hear time and time again from the residents and, you know, why aren't we replanting trees? And I've given the DPW credit because they have started. I think that they've done or had planned, maybe there's money recently, maybe it's in town meeting ATM this year for a tree inventory. But I have not been able to get an update on it. It's sort of tied together with what Chris Leroy is doing with a tree planting program. And so sort of promise that we, you know, once that's kind of a little bit more established, he was going to reach out to some of his peers, other tree wardens in other towns, you know, then we can all get together. But I really think that we need to kind of break it down, talk about some of these things, policies that are not being followed, but also, you know, other things about trees. 'Cause, you know, replanting, you know, there's two, you know, bad things that are happening. The trees are coming down and they're not being replanted. So our tree canopies are getting thin. And so I think, you know, Chris has said he likes trees. He's interested in talking to others about replanting program. And I think it's probably time that we kind of tie it all together and maybe think about having a, you know, at some point having a larger meeting. I agree, initial conversation, but also we have to start breaking it down to talk about what is being done with the tree inventory, because that was supposed to be the first step, and then getting an arborist to identify those trees and then come up with a, you know, a system about looking at the whole of the town. And when we get to a replanting program, we would then have a sense of what kinds of trees and where they would go.
Right.
That's planning, and that's what the planning board does. And so we're kind of getting cut out of that loop if we don't have this information. So I know they've been working on it, but I think now's probably the time to say, okay, we're ready to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, I was always told that you needed the inventory first, so you knew where trees were and where they could be
Yeah.
planted.
And to Debbie's point too, I mean, National Grid has taken down a lot of trees over the last couple of years, and they're willing to have a discussion to mitigate some of those. So I would hate for too much time to pass and, you know, us to lose out on an opportunity for, you know, I don't know how many trees, but a good amount of trees to be, you know, let them pay to get the trees instead of the taxpayers. So, yeah, I agree.
Anything else on this? Moving along, planners report. All right, look at this.
So, first thing I want to say is, starting April 8th, this room is getting reconditioned to be doing videos like the Public Safety Building meeting room. So starting April 8th through April 7th, no in-person meetings in this room.
What were those dates again, Karina?
Starting April 8th through April 27th. They're going to be doing some rewiring and reconstruction of some of the systems in here to have a secondary option to the Southborough Access Media setup.
So basically almost 2 weeks.
2 meetings.
over-
So April 13th, we have a meeting,
Yeah.
and April 27th.
And where are
And I-
they suggesting we do them?
I already booked the public safety building meeting room,
Okay.
which is set up to do video and everything very easily, like a two-step process versus here.
That's good to know because I've actually booked this room for, I think, scholarship and maybe CPC as well. So.
I think IT is going to send out a email. He's right next door to me, so he came
Right.
over and told me right away.
Okay.
And then it was discussed at the department head meeting this morning.
So you're gonna have anybody that has a recorded meeting, either they're gonna have to go Zoom or we're all gonna have to fight for the public safety building.
Yep.
Which is,
We got there first.
We got him
Crazy.
already.
all right, thank you.
And when you do book the public safety building, meeting room, IT lets you to use remote meeting room 3,
Okay,
because that's set up specifically for that room.
yeah, we used to use it for CPC, that's where we used to meet, but then it's so much better and easier to do it. The audio and the video there is horrific.
Yeah, it's
It
nice.
shows all the boards sitting far away and then it shows the audience, so
Yeah, it is really hard to watch
It's
those recorded
hard to
meetings.
hear. for the
Yeah.
people, that may be watching it, so.
At the public safety building itself?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll
It's
have to tell them that.
pretty horrible. I mean, my suggestion would be for the board to consider even Zoom. You're gonna have better viewing than you would have at the public safety buildings. So.
Well, and if they're going to do that here, they should know that they should watch some remote meetings at the public safety building. before they
We'll
do
still
this.
have Sam. Sam will still be doing meetings here as well, once
Mhm.
this new system's in place. It's for those meetings that Sam, sorry, I don't know if they can hear me. It's those meetings that Sam typically doesn't cover. But again, Sam will cover anybody that asked. That's why CPC started meeting here, because, we can have a nice quality video, and people can attend.
Is
So,
it the audio and the visual, or just the
yeah,
audio?
just go look at an old CPC meeting even, Karina, and you'll see, that's why we came here. It's, people kept saying our minute taker couldn't hear. It was just a combination of things.
Not good.
People went back to watch the audio is not great because it's like one big
Yeah.
microphone that comes down from the ceiling
At the front of the room.
at the front of the room, exactly. So it's, and again, like I said, it's a pan shot, but it's far enough away that if I'm talking, nobody's gonna know who's talking. So I think, look at the videos and consider whether that's the best way for those 2 meetings, or maybe considering Zoom, that's all.
Okay, because I haven't seen a meeting there lately. I haven't viewed a video. I wonder if anything's.
Oh, we have our wastewater study committee meetings there all the time.
You
Same
guys
thing?
record them?
Yep, so
Oh,
you can find
there
some
you
of
go.
those
That's
online.
what I watched and said, oh, they're really far away.
Yeah, there's actually an option on the little tablet to change. You can change what's on the screen. I'm not sure if you can change what gets fed into the Zoom recording, but there is an option to cycle through. So that's something to look into. And also just, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Good.
There's an option, we'd have to go through Jay or through IT, is to find it's like a wireless microphone. They look like little pucks you can put somewhere within the room. And it might behoove us to put something in the middle of the room, or if there's a table where someone speaks, it's like supplementary audio to not make it sound like as bad as it is.
Cavernous.
Yeah.
Karina,
Just a thought.
sorry, Alan, did you say that you can only use Zoom, remote meeting room 3? Or was
No,
that-
you can't, you can use all, but
You can
they
use
suggest using remote for 3 because it's specifically set up for that
Yes.
location. And reserve the 1 and 2 virtual meeting rooms for here.
Oh,
So usually we book remote meeting room 1.
right.
And if that's booked because someone beat us to it, we go to number 2. If that's booked, we go to 3. If we schedule for public safety building, we start with room 3, remote room 3, as one of the rooms you can pick when you set up
Okay.
the meeting.
I've been reserving rooms there and nobody's ever told me that,
Oh.
ever.
Are they Zoom only or hybrid?
No, a hybrid, yeah. I mean, they're kind of poor audio and stuff like that, you know.
I don't think it makes a difference to the audio. It's just they secure, maybe it does. I don't know. I
Huh.
can't speak to it. I'm guessing here.
Okay.
I just was told, public safety, don't book room 3 for here. We try to reserve it for over there.
Yep.
Okay. Next is, so, as Lisa can attest, we had a pre-filing meeting with Costco. And we invited any board or commission that would have involvement in the process or would like to comment or be involved or whatever on last Wednesday, March 18th. And the Costco had a team here as well. I put a sign-in list that Christine, Hung.
Yep.
Yeah, that Christine Hung, we have a Christine in town at, down in the treasurer's office too. Christine provided the sign-up sheet that she put in a spreadsheet. I put that in the Dropbox if you're interested in seeing who was there. So we had a good turnout. It kind of did a general overview of the concept, not too specific, so you could see kind of a bird's eye view. There were lots of questions, clarifications. I did point about the proposed light pole heights.
Yep.
They were going to propose 36-foot tall lights, and I reminded them the code doesn't allow that. You'd have to get a variance from the ZBA, little things like that. I plan on sending them a site plan checklist, the application, some guidance documents that we have on what to fill out and such, so that they have that as well. They are working on getting their MIPA, which is the
Yep.
thresholds that a project triggers, say if they have over a certain amount of parking or things like that, they have to file with the state. Those are kind of lengthy processes, maybe a year, but Attorney Buckley said the potential to expedite because you can ask for waivers, and if they're sold properly or are the right thing, that it can shortcut the process a little bit. So I think they said maybe in 4 to 6 weeks, they might have something coming through here, but they reiterated again, the desire to have these working subcommittee meetings, which would have to be, you need meeting minutes, booking the room. So there's questions like who would pay for the meeting minutes, for the doing those, just setting that generally up. And with the timeframes, we meet every 2 weeks. It's also difficult because you're getting like a third-party reiteration at the planning. You're not hearing it all first yourself. I mean, there are pros and cons, but it creates a little bit more level of something. There's another level in there now. So now you have, and most likely they would be day meetings because their team works during the day. So that shouldn't be an issue, but it's coordinating the room, meeting minutes and such. So I don't know. The planning board would probably have to, we'll have to decide if that's the avenue they want to go during the permitting process. So if they come in, like we've seen well-versed applicants come in with everything T's crossed and I's dotted, it should be straightforward. And then I think I let you know last time, I did talk to Niche Engineering about them doing the peer review, and they will be prepared to do that when the time comes.
I think, so I won't be here, so it doesn't really matter, but just, I think the board should be very careful about having any behind-the-scenes meeting when a proponent is before us. And if you do, it should be a public meeting and a posted meeting so people know what is being said. And I think there may be a thought that they can just have these behind-the-scenes meetings and move things along, but it's not a good look for the board when you want a transparent process. And B, if there's one planning board member, it's one planning board member. You have to convince 5. So you're not really whatever one says doesn't mean that the rest of the board's going to go along with. I'd just be careful with that. That's my parting advice.
Can I add a couple other highlights to the meeting? So as Karina said, they did a great overview, and there were some specific things I found very interesting. They talked about resurfacing Crystal Pond Road. They talked about, on average, they're looking at 12 trucks a day coming into the site doing deliveries. They're typically between like 10 PM and 5 AM, but they tend to be in the morning. So the drivers drop off and then they go to their next location. So it's typically not during the night. They talked about Westboro was not happy that, they're getting the septic and
Parking and poop.
parking and poop. Exactly. So the agreement they currently have, or that's currently had for the site, is for 20,000 gallons a day, and they're only anticipating 15. So they're well under where they are at. They looked at EV stations, and they're looking to do less than is required potentially by the state, because a normal, how they explained it was, a normal standard EV takes time to charge, and most people are in and out in 30 minutes. So they're looking to mitigate that with like 6 or more fast charging stations. There won't be like Walmart vehicles parked there overnight. It's not like RVs and whatnot. Yep, no camping, anything like that. As Karina said, this 36-foot poles, and they do have a very strict policy of no idling. So when the trucks come to drop off, they shut down. And they have, the best way, and Karina, you could probably describe it better, is they have a sleeve that comes out to the back of the trucks to mitigate some of the noise. So it like sucks onto the trucks, so you don't hear as much of the noise as you may, even with an enclosure, you may hear. This kind of tries to keep the noise inside. So those are just some highlights of some of the things they said. It was, like Rita said, it was a good meeting. There was lots of good questions, and yes, they will have hot dogs and pizza.
Yeah.
So I will just leave it with that.
Mhm.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay.
Just to add a couple of comments, it would be interesting for us to approach Atlantic and just ask them point blank, what is their desire to have the subcommittee meetings? My supposition is for speed, right? But maybe we're wrong, right? Based on how candid they were, I don't think their interest is having them sort of like, under the cover of night. Like, I think they would assume they'd be public, but your point, Mimi, is a good one, is that that's one person who then has to come back. So if we meet every 2 weeks, we have a meeting, a subcommittee meeting, it's interesting what they intend to get done in that time. The only thing I can possibly think of, and again, I would love to hear from them, is that maybe there's 3 subcommittee meetings going in parallel to then come back. And so they're moving multiple fronts along. That's my only guess, but it would be good to ask them to understand why, because maybe there's a piece that we're missing. And I had something else, but I forgot what it was. So, but that was the only thing. I think they've done these kinds of things before. Clearly this is not their first rodeo, as the phrase goes. I just don't know if other towns have typically agreed to do the subcommittee thing. Maybe they have, but I would just be interested in seeing what their approach is. And if we say no, then do they have another approach that we can entertain?
Thanks. I am agreeing with both of you. I think also we have to look at the other towns they've worked in. At least we know about the projects in Westboro, I think Marlboro and Northborough. And if I'm not mistaken, Marlboro has a mayor and Northborough has a planning board that is appointed or something like that. So no?
They're elected.
They're elected? Okay. So maybe there's a
Do they
setup
have
of
a
the town.
Costco?
No,
Or
no,
Atlantic
no,
maybe?
Atlantic.
Oh,
No, I'm
oh.
talking about Atlantic, but really, we're going to be, on that note, we're going to be working with Costco folks and the attorney for Costco, right? Are we still going to be working with Atlantic?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, Atlantic has the properties in those other towns.
So Atlantic Management owns the property.
Yeah.
And Costco will lease it as a tenant.
Okay.
And there are no other tenants. So I asked the other functions that happen in there, whether it's a gas station or the Vision Center or the alcohol sales, et cetera, which they're working on getting a license for. Those are all Costco owned, so it's one tenant.
Okay.
So they'll both, Costco and Atlantic will be presenting. the
Yeah, I
project.
asked him who would be the applicant. I wrote it down, I have to look, but they. were-
Costco, I think that's what
Yeah.
they said.
Costco was, and then, because they have to provide certificates of authority, a signature that whoever is signing for them has the power to do that.
Mimi, if you want, or Karina, or whoever, I mean, I'd be happy to reach out to Bob Buckley. We can either have him come to a meeting, or I can just ask the question, as Alan said, and then bring information back. It's up to the board, whichever way you guys would prefer to do it, whether we invite him or, again, as
That
Alan
would be
said, I think a
helpful to me.
conversation as to what they're looking to do, and maybe even ask them to put something in writing, So either Karina could do it, or I'd be happy to
I'd
make that.
appreciate it, yeah. it
I'll
would
be happy to
Very
do it.
helpful to me.
I'll copy you on
a little
whatever I
bit
send them.
knee-deep. Okay,
Yeah, okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
thank you. From the applications I've been getting that are not so complete. Working on it.
Anything else in the
Oh,
planners
yes.
report?
Yes, sorry, I digress. That was awesome. So we have the clean energy siting and permitting regulations, and I have that on planners report to discuss. There was discussion last time about preparing a letter to the select board by the planning board that they need to designate a project manager for the consolidated permit, and the default is the town administrator. Melissa Danza, Conservation, Lara Davis, and I, Building Commissioner, Assessor, we have these kind of land use meetings over at the Building Department once a month. And Melissa Danza drafted a quick letter as well from Lara herself, and I'm going to sign it too if it meets what I think is right, to indicate the same thing, that they need to address this, because again, it's required by October 1st that the town accepts these applications. And the consolidated permit, and just quickly saying, all the boards and commissions that have local bylaw that require a permit still do that. And then a decision, those decisions go to this central point, and the project manager then makes a final decision, drafts a decision, and if one board denies it, the decision is denied, and then it goes to the state for appeal. And there's a portal where the application is provided by the state, and it's a 12-month maximum, you have to issue it within 12 months, or otherwise it's constructive. So these things, I've been forwarding information to the select board. I have a email already set up to make them aware of this, if that's sufficient, unless you want an actual letter from the planning board to go to the select board. It might be good for the record.
So there was a letter from the Conservation Commission
Yeah.
that was sent today. Did we get that today?
Oh, no, that was Melissa's draft from the
Oh.
land use meeting that we had. She
Oh,
said she was
okay.
gonna draft it and send it to me, and I said I'd forward it to you because we were gonna talk about it tonight in case we wanted to use some similar language instead of
I
recreating.
thought it was good.
Yeah,
I thought I wouldn't mind just putting the planning board down, letterhead, and tweak a little bit.
yeah, so
that.
I didn't forward it to the whole board yet because
Oh,
I
you
just
didn't?
got
Oh,
it, and I
okay.
didn't look, I read it very quickly. So I forwarded it to Mimi, because of this discussion coming up tonight.
But forward it
Just
to
a-
the rest of the board and see
Okay.
what the rest of the board thinks.
Yeah, I think an email is good, but I do think a letter, and then one of us should attend the select board meeting just to kind of share, like, this is coming, and like give a heads up. So, I'm sure it's not, any of your emails aren't being flagged because of town meeting right now, right? So there's just a litany of things that are on there to do. So maybe, I can attend, like, it's small clean energy infrastructure. I'm happy to attend one of their select board meetings after maybe we send the email explaining it, send the letter, and then
Yeah,
I can go
attach the
in
letter to the
April.
Okay.
to one of their meetings and just make it aware in a public comment.
Okay, because the regional coordinator, Steve Marino, is very good. He'll come here and he'll go to the select board meeting if we ask him, I'm sure. He's very interactive and he's happy to help. He's been forwarding emails. And then there are a lot of Mass Planners Forum emails that are coming through with people's questions.
yeah.
Right, so most recently, I haven't forwarded yet, but there's an email with the actual draft application that the state's providing, and then a checklist that's required. So everything's being done, but it needs to be kind of this person who's probably not involved in a board that provides a decision for the project. Kind of a central person.
So I have a question there. So there are a bunch of, like particular smaller size than what they have a bunch of exemptions, and I think like for small clean energy production, I'm getting these words wrong. It's like anything less than an acre is exempt, or I think it's 250 kilowatt hours for small clean energy storage. Does that mean that those exempt things don't go through this application process? They just go through like a Dover site plan?
I'll have to check. And then I can talk to Melissa and Lara too. They've been really studying it. They're trying to assist getting it set up. Okay, I'll ask. What are the thresholds, exemptions? Small. Okay.
Reading a novel.
Dan's and Marge. Okay,
Sounds
I'm
like
sorry,
you're
I'm
reading
gonna
a
try
novel
and hurry
down
here. What's next? So,
Subdivision rules and regulations?
Yes. So, there's a flyer here to nominate a community hero for the 2026 Laurie Sugarman Whittier Wellness Award, accepting nominations until Tuesday, April 7th. This is probably on the town website. This was provided to us by Town Administrator's Office. As a heads up. Does the planning board have any desire to give input on the Northborough Road properties for first right of refusal? We can add that to, it's a 120-day deadline.
Yeah.
We could add it to a future planning board meeting.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
If Mimi, yeah, you agree. So.
Didn't we write something? Can we just take the original draft? Didn't we write for the
Yes.
first time?
Yeah.
Can we pull that
Mhm.
and just kind of put a new date on it? Because I don't think any of our thoughts have changed, right? Except for they split the property.
Right, so it's only 1.46 acres, and I think last time they came, it was 20 and
Oh,
20 or
that's right.
something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
so in January, they came with an A&R to the planning board, and it was one big corner lot, and there was a little carve out for an existing house. And they split it into 3 lots. One was kind of the horseshoe around the existing house, and there was a skinny little piece which I made sure they could pass the circle through. And then there was another piece on the side. It's that middle piece, the skinny one, which is 1.4547 acres or something like that, which they want to take out of the 61A. I think they're planning on taking the whole property out of 61A. I read.
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
So maybe it makes sense to at least go back and
Look
that's a
at it.
starting point,
Yeah.
look at that letter and then
Okay.
tweak it as, it's a lot easier than
Yeah.
creating something new. When I think most of, as you said, Marnie, most of what we're gonna wanna say, even though it's a smaller portion, I don't think it's all gonna change all that much.
No. Okay, and they never recorded that A&R, just so you know, and it states it in the notice of intent to sell, that the A&R is not recorded, so.
Right.
Okay, and I think that's it. Just a reminder that the annual town meeting is Saturday, April 11th. We'll have our pre-ATM meeting for the planning board at 9 o'clock. The town meeting starts at 10. Annual town election is Tuesday, May 12th. And we have one set of minutes, March 9th. Tonight. if
Just as
everyone-
an FYI, I will not be at town meeting on the 11th. I'll be on an airplane.
Okay.
So, good luck. Good luck, Marnie.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from Monday, March 9th.
I second.
I,
I have one comment.
in my usual pain in the neck. I have a bunch of little things. I don't know if I should go through. So line 21 says advantageous to smaller lots. It's to homes. Line 24, it's industrial park zone. In the same thing on
Instead
line.
of industrial areas?
Yeah,
Park.
we just removed it from industrial park.
Okay.
In line 26 is the same industrial park. Line 30 is two-family housing. And that's the same line 33, two-family. And then line 132 and 136, it's Mr. Fling.
132, 136. Wing. That was just 132, right?
In 136.
136, yes, I see it.
Line 265, it says total in compliance. It's just not in compliance.
265,
Yeah,
total not in compliance. Total not in compliance, you said?
lights are not in compliance.
Lights are not in compliance. Okay,
And then line 280, 289, and 293, it's that neighbor's name.
mm-hmm,
It's AGHA BAB
Agababian.
AYAN.
AGHAB.
ABAYAN.
Okay, also it can be found in the nosy book
Or the GIS.
or the
That's where I find
GIS map.
Yeah,
Correct.
so that's in 289
Yep.
and 293. I think that's, oh. And then just, sorry. Line 352, it says motion by Ms. Houlihan. It was DeBurria, seconded by Ms. Braccio.
Under 352.
352.
Yep, should be motion by Demoria
And then 353 is Braccio.
and Brascio, yep.
And then the same with 356 and 357.
Hard to make a motion when I wasn't here.
I
And
had,
that- and that's my annoyance for the evening. You had something?
I had one on line 170, Kramer. I think it's with a K.
It is
Okay,
170.
yeah. They spelled Kramer with the C.
I think she said it's Cheryl Kramer with 2 Cs.
She did.
Yeah, because I wrote it
Wait,
down.
oh,
You're
as
right,
2 Cs.
you're right.
Okay,
It's
perfect
not-
then.
it's
I
not
just had a
Kramer
question
like
on that,
Seinfeld.
so-
It's Kramer with a C. You're right.
Beautiful, and I got nothing.
So that's good. You're right, Arnie.
Anyone else? Did you have something, Mr.
Alan?
Conrad?
I had one, you already covered it, so.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Sorry to steal your thunder there.
So yeah, we still have to vote.
Yes. So no more comments? Do we have a motion? And did you second, Mr. Mario?
Motion as amended? I second.
All in favor, Latrell, yes?
Houlihan abstain.
Demiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Belniak, yes.
I make a motion to, what do we do?
Adjourn.
Thank you. I make a motion to adjourn.
Before midnight, we can't do it. I second.
It's only 9 o'clock. I have a motion and a second. Any long further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Latrell, yes?
Houlihan, yes.
Demiria, yes.
Brascio, yes.
Belniak, yes.
Awesome.
Oh my
Thank you.
goodness.